Okay, welcome back. So we're still dealing on functions in JavaScript. So we have a part one video that I've, so if you've not checked the video, please go back and check the video. Now we're looking at the part two, functions. Let's quickly define what functions are. So functions are one of the fundamental building blocks in JavaScript. A function in JavaScript is similar to a procedure, a set of statements that performs a task or calculates a value. But for a procedure to qualify as a function, it should take some input and return an output, where there is some obvious relationship between input and output. To use function, you must define it somewhere in the scope from which you wish to call it. So we have that here on our program. So we have a function that we have defined. So this is we defining our function. So we use the keyword function, the name of the function, and we are having parameters here. Now these parameters are optional. They are not really compulsory, but depending on what you're trying to do. So at this point, what we are trying to do, it is necessary we have parameters here. So that's why we are having values in these brackets. So what you have in between the curly bracket is what will be executed when the function is called. So whatever logic you have inside of here is what will be executed when the function is called. So during calling, this is where we are calling the functions. We have input 1 and input 2. So we are putting 4 and 8 as our input. When we run this, we get we get the result of this. That is it. When we call this function, it goes inside of this function and check what is num1. Num1 is now 4 in this case. Num2 is 8 in this case. So it performs whatever operation we've asked it to perform here and store that inside of this result and returns the result to us. So when we run, we get the operation being executed and result given to us. So that's a typical example of what function is. So let's move defining functions. We've defined functions. That's what we just did. So a function definition, also called a function declaration or function statement. So this is a function statement. Let's have comments so that we can easily understand it. So we say function statement or declaration. So this is a function statement or function declaration from here downward. So we have the first function that adds numbers for us. We have the second function that subtract number for us. So we can now create multiple functions using this method, using the function statement or function declaration. So to create this, you can see the name of the function, is very important. So first of all, a function definition, also called this, that consists of the function keyword. So that's what we have here. The function keyword is what we have here. The name of the function. So function keyword followed by the name of the function, a list of parameters to the function, enclosed in parentheses and separated by commas. That's what we have here. So we have parameter 1 and parameter 2. Then the JavaScript statement that define the function enclosed in curly brackets. That's what we have here. So this is the JavaScript code the JavaScript statement that define the function. So this is what defines what the function does when we call the function. So we're done with that. So parameters are essentially passed to functions by value. So if the code within the body of a function assigns a completely new value to a parameter that was passed to the function, the change is not reflected globally or in the code which call that function. So when we say num console.log add numbers and we put 4 and 8 here. So this does not change the default value of what num1 and num2 would be in the global state of this our program. That means we can go further. We can go further in our program and still assign new values to num1 and num2 without interfering with what the global state of num1 and num2 is. So let's say, for example, yes, I believe you understand what I'm trying to say. So when we have parameters like this and we are calling them by giving inputs to those parameters, it doesn't change the global state of the parameters. We can always give new values to it and it will still work properly for us. So that's for that. So when you pass an object as a parameter, if the function changes the object properties, that change is visible outside the function as shown in the following example. So let's move on to function expression. So while the function declaration above is syntactically a statement, functions can also be created by a function expression. Such a function can be anonymous. It does not have to have a name. For example, the function we're going to do after now. So when you look at this example, let's do it here. So let's do for multiplication. So you see const or var or whatever, let's say var. So we can use remember how we create variables in JavaScript? You can use const, can use var, and you can use let. So all of these can be used for function expression. So let's say const multiply. So what this will now be equal to the function keyword and then your parentheses that could carry your parameters. So we can say num1 and num2 here. Then whatever the function will do. So we say result. Let's say var result equal to num1 multiplied by num2. So let's break it down and let's return that. Let's return result. So we can now call this function by console.log multiply, and we give it values 5, 2. So meanwhile, I want to delete all these. These are the previous code. I want to delete all of them so that we can see the results of what we are trying to do. So let's save this and see. So you can see the multiplication result is showing here. Let's do something. So we say console.log multiply. Let me add some strings here, comma. So I'm going to say multiplying or multiplication. Let's say multiplication. So when we save multiplication 10, right? So that we understand, so that we know which one is producing which. We can call this more. You can say this is 3. Let's save and we save. So it's working for us. So this is a function expression. Remember, we have function statement or declaration, and now we are having function expression. So a function expression is like you're creating a variable, and assigning a function to that variable. So we can as well change this by removing this. Let's say we get rid of this to make it a function expression, you can easily change that and say const this equal to that, and it will work for us. Perfect. So let's move on. So this is for function expression. However, a name can be provided with a function expression. Providing a name allows the function to refer to itself and also makes it easier to identify the function in a debugger stack traces. So if you look very well, we created this function and the function does not have a name. The function is just here. There's no name attached to this function. So we can give this function a name, just like what the node tells us. It helps us to debug our code properly. So we can say this is a multiplication function. We can say multiply or multi. Let's just leave it like this. And when we save it, let's ensure our code is running. So multiply is running. So we can give the function a name. We can as well call that multi. Let's say multi. We can call it multi. So the same way we console log this, we can also console log the function. We can now call that function because we've given it a name. Well, so multi, we can now call the function and let's put some values here. Let's say 0 and save. Oh, we have an error saying uncaught reference error. Multi is not defined. So multi is not defined. Function multi. Let's see our notes. Okay. So we can't call it like this. It will show us not defined because we've already created a function expression. We've assigned the entire function into this variable called multiply. So that's not really multiply. It's multiply. Okay, let's leave it like that. So that's for this. In the next session, we're also going to look deep into functions and explore more things in functions. See you in the next video. But before we go, I would want you to practice this and create more functions with this. So for example, we have function add numbers. So these add numbers, change it to a function expression. Let me also have comments here. Change it to a function expression and do more functions like for division and some other stuff. Function expression. So see you in the next video.